I was sitting at my desk when my phone buzzed, and I saw my husband's name light up the screen. Mark never texted me during the day unless it was something sweet. A heart emoji, a love you, maybe a reminder to pick up milk. So when I opened that message, I expected warmth. Instead, I got four words that felt like a slap. Don't come to the BBQ. I stared at those words, read them again and again. The BBQ was supposed to be our thing, Mark and me, hosting family and friends in our backyard like we'd done every summer for 15 years. I'd already marinated the chicken that morning. I'd picked out my pale blue dress, the one Mark said made my eyes shine. And now he was telling me, don't come? My hands started shaking. I tried to call him. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. I texted back, what do you mean? What's wrong? The little check mark showed he'd read it, but no reply came. Friend, I want to be honest with you about something. In that moment, sitting in my office with the afternoon sun coming through the blinds, I felt like the ground had opened up beneath me. Because when the man you've loved for 15 years suddenly shuts you out, your mind goes to dark places. Was there another woman? Had I done something wrong? Was he leaving me? I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, just staring at that text, when suddenly my office door flew open so hard it banged against the wall. My brother Jake stood there, breathing hard like he'd run up 3 flights of stairs. And right behind him was Lisa, my best friend since college, the woman I called my sister, the one who'd been my maid of honor. Both of them looked at me with eyes full of something I couldn't quite name. Fear, panic, pity. Sarah, Jake said, and his voice cracked. Sarah, we need to talk to you right now. Lisa closed the door behind them and locked it. That's when I knew. Whatever was coming, it was bad. What's going on? I stood up, my heart hammering in my chest. Does this have something to do with Mark's text? Because he just told me not to come to the BBQ and I… He's there, Jake interrupted. At your house, right now. Who's there? Mark. Of course Mark's there. It's our… Dad, Jake said, and the word hung in the air like a curse. Our father is at your house right now. Mark invited him to the BBQ. I actually laughed. It was a sharp, bitter sound that didn't feel like it came from me. That's not funny, Jake. Dad left us 20 years ago. He doesn't even know where we live. I saw him, Sarah. Lisa's voice was gentle, the way you talk to someone who's about to break. I was dropping off the potato salad early, and I saw Mark talking to an older man by the grill. I didn't think anything of it at first, but then I heard Mark call him Sir in that respectful way. And the man, he had your eyes, Sarah. Your exact eyes. And when he smiled, it was Jake's smile. My legs felt weak. I sat back down in my chair, gripping the armrests. No, Mark wouldn't do that. He knows what that man did to us. He knows… There's more. Jake knelt down beside my chair, took my hand. Sarah, I've been doing some digging. Mark's been meeting with him for months. I saw them at the hospital downtown 3 weeks ago. I followed them to a coffee shop after. Watched them talk for over an hour. Mark has been seeing our father behind your back. The room tilted. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage, about my husband's loyalty, about the life we'd built together, suddenly felt like a lie. Why? The word came out as a whisper. Why would he do this to me? Lisa and Jake exchanged a look, and that look told me they had theories, none of them good. I don't know, Jake said quietly, but you need to get over there. You need to confront them both before this goes any further. I thought about that text again. Don't come to the BBQ. Not, don't come home. Not, We need to talk. Just don't come. Like I was being uninvited from my own life. Had Mark been planning this? Had he been slowly building a relationship with the man who destroyed our family, knowing it would devastate me? How many lies had he told? How many times had he looked me in the eye and said, "I love you," while secretly meeting with the one person he knew I never wanted to see again? I stood up, smoothing down my work skirt with trembling hands. "I need to go. I need to—" My voice broke. "I need to know what's happening in my own marriage." Jake grabbed his keys. "We'll drive you. You're in no state to—" "No." I held up my hand. "No, I need to do this alone. I need to walk into my house and look my husband in the eye and ask him why he's been lying to me." Lisa hugged me tight, and I could feel her shaking. Or maybe that was me. "Call us if you need anything. Anything at all." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, but Jake caught my arm. "Sarah, whatever you find out there, whatever Mark's reason is, just remember that people don't always betray us the way we think they do. Sometimes the truth is more complicated." I didn't understand what he meant then. I wouldn't understand until I walked into my backyard and saw my father's face for the first time in 20 years. But in that moment, all I felt was the terrible weight of betrayal. The man I'd trusted with my whole heart had brought my worst pain back into my life without even asking me first. And I was about to find out why. The drive home felt like it took forever and no time at all. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Every red light felt like torture. Every green light brought me closer to answers I wasn't sure I wanted. "Hey family, quick question for you. How does this new voice sound in your ears? Is it comfortable? Clear? Easy to follow? If you love it, please hit the like button and drop a quick comment so I know I'm on the right track. If it's not your taste, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments too. Your feedback is what helps me adjust and grow. And if there's another voice style you'd love me to try, just say it. I'm here because of you, and I've stayed consistent because you keep watching, correcting, and supporting me. Let's keep growing together." Now, friend, let me tell you what was going through my mind on that drive. I kept seeing my father's face the way I remembered it from 20 years ago. I was 18 when he left, just 18, about to start college, and he sat us down at the kitchen table, me, Jake, and Mama, and told us he'd met someone else, someone younger, someone who made him feel alive again. I remember Mama didn't cry, not then. She just nodded slowly like she'd been expecting it, and asked him when he planned to leave. "Tonight," he'd said. "I'm sorry, but I can't stay here anymore. I feel like I'm drowning." Drowning. That's the word he used. Like our family was water filling his lungs instead of the people who loved him most in the world. He packed 2 suitcases that night and walked out. We never heard from him again. No birthday cards, no Christmas calls, nothing. Mama worked 2 jobs to keep the house, and I watched her age 10 years in one. Jake dropped out of college to help with bills. Our whole world collapsed because one man decided he wanted a different life. And now Mark, my Mark, the man who'd held me through nightmares about abandonment, who'd promised he'd never leave me, had been meeting with that man in secret for months. Friend, before I tell you what I saw when I pulled into my driveway, please tap subscribe. Stay with me, because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about betrayal. I parked down the street, not in my usual spot. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want them to hear me coming. Maybe I wanted a moment to breathe before walking into whatever nightmare was waiting for me. I could hear music coming from the backyard. Laughter. The smell of charcoal and grilled meat drifted on the summer breeze. It all seemed so normal, so innocent, like any other Saturday afternoon BBQ. But nothing about this was normal. I walked around the side of the house instead of going through the front door. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. As I got closer to the back gate, I heard Mark's voice, warm and friendly, talking to someone about baseball scores. He sounded so relaxed, so comfortable. I pushed the gate open slowly, quietly. The backyard was full of people. Some I recognized: Mark's brother, a few neighbors, his co-workers from the office. They were all laughing, drinking beer, enjoying the sunshine. Nobody noticed me at first. They were all gathered on the left side of the yard, near the grill where Mark stood flipping burgers. But on the right side of the yard, under the old oak tree where I used to play as a little girl, there was a man sitting alone in a lawn chair. He was thin, too thin, the kind of thin that comes with illness, not age. His hair was completely grey now, combed neatly to one side. He wore a button-down shirt that looked too big on him, like he'd lost a lot of weight recently. And he was just sitting there, watching everyone else with this expression on his face that I couldn't quite read. Sadness? Regret? Longing? Then he turned his head and looked right at me. Those eyes. Jake was right. They were my eyes. Dark brown, with little gold flecks that caught the light. I'd always gotten them from him, and now, seeing them in his face after all these years, I felt like I was looking at a ghost. He stood up slowly, carefully, like his bones hurt. He opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out. He just stood there, staring at me the way a drowning man stares at the shore. Sarah. Mark's voice cut through everything. I turned and saw my husband walking toward me, his face pale, his eyes wide with something between fear and hope. Sarah, I didn't think you'd... The text was supposed to say, you brought him here. My voice came out flat, cold. You brought the man who destroyed my family to our home, to our BBQ, and you didn't even tell me. People were starting to notice now. The conversations died down. The laughter stopped. Everyone was watching us. Mark reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Sarah, please, just let me explain. It's not what you... Not what I think? I laughed, and it sounded harsh, even to my own ears. What is it then, Mark? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me for months, meeting with my father behind my back, building some kind of relationship with him without even asking if I wanted that. He's sick, Mark said quietly. Sarah, he's very sick. I don't care. The words came out before I could stop them, but once they were out, I realized I meant them, or at least I thought I did. I don't care if he's sick. He had 20 years to reach out, 20 years to apologize, to explain, to be a father, and he chose not to. He chose to disappear. So why should I care now? My father, because he was still my father, even after everything, took a step toward me. Sarah, I know I have no right to... You're right, I interrupted. You have no right. Not to be here. Not to speak to me. Not to come back into my life just because you're dying and suddenly feel guilty. The word hung in the air. Dying. Mark flinched when I said it, and I knew then that I'd guessed right. This wasn't just sick. This was dying. How long? I asked, still looking at my father but speaking to Mark. How long has he been dying, and how long have you been helping him? Mark's voice was barely a whisper. 6 months. He has late-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctors say maybe 3 months left. 4, if he's lucky. Something twisted in my chest. Some old, buried part of me that still remembered being Daddy's little girl, riding on his shoulders, feeling safe in his arms. But I crushed that feeling down. I had to. So he shows up after 20 years because he's dying and wants to clear his conscience, I said. And you, my husband, the person I trust more than anyone, decided to help him, without telling me, without asking me, without giving me any choice in the matter. I was going to tell you, Mark said, his voice breaking. Today. That's what the surprise was. I was going to bring you here at 6 o'clock, after I'd had a chance to talk to you first, to explain everything. But the text, Sarah, the text got sent wrong. I typed, "Don't come to the BBQ yet. Surprise at 6 p.m. But my phone must have cut it off, or you're lying," I said. Again. My father spoke then, his voice rough and weak. "Don't blame him. This was my fault. I begged him not to tell you. I thought if you could just see me first, without all the anger, maybe I'd what?" I turned to face him fully now. "Forgive you? Welcome you back with open arms? Did you really think you could manipulate your way back into my life by going through my husband?" He looked down at his feet, and for the first time, I saw how frail he really was. How much pain he was in just standing there. But I couldn't let myself feel sorry for him. Not yet. Maybe not ever. "I need to know," I said, looking at Mark now. "I need to know everything, every meeting, every conversation, every lie you told me so you could see him." Mark nodded slowly. "Okay. Yes, I'll tell you everything. But Sarah, please, can we go inside? Can we talk about this privately?" I looked around at all the faces staring at us, at the neighbors whispering to each other, at Mark's brother holding a beer bottle frozen halfway to his mouth, at my father standing alone under that oak tree looking like a man waiting for his execution. And I realized something. Whatever Mark was about to tell me, whatever truth was hiding under all these lies, it was going to change everything. But did I even want to hear it? I followed Mark into the house, leaving my father standing under that oak tree. Every step felt heavy, like I was walking through water. The kitchen looked exactly as I'd left it that morning, the marinade bowl still in the sink, my coffee cup on the counter, the pale blue dress hanging on the back of the pantry door, waiting for me to change into it for a party I was no longer invited to. Mark closed the sliding door behind us, shutting out the curious stares and whispered conversations. For a long moment, we just stood there in our kitchen, two people who'd promised to love each other forever, suddenly feeling like strangers. "Start talking," I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "And don't you dare leave anything out." Mark pulled out a chair at the kitchen table and sat down heavily, like his legs couldn't hold him anymore. "It started 4 months ago. I got a call at work from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, it was your father. He said he'd been trying to find the courage to call for weeks. He told me he was sick, that he didn't have much time, and that his biggest regret, his deepest shame, was what he did to you and Jake and your mother." I crossed my arms over my chest, trying to hold myself together. "So he called you instead of me. How convenient." "He was afraid," Mark said quietly. "Terrified, actually. He said he knew he had no right to ask for forgiveness, that he'd burned that bridge 20 years ago and he deserved whatever hate you felt for him. But he wanted to try. He wanted to at least try to explain, to apologize, to say goodbye properly." "And you believed him?" The anger in my voice surprised even me. "You believed the man who abandoned his family without looking back? The man who never sent a birthday card, never made a phone call, never once tried to be a father?" Mark looked up at me with tears in his eyes. "I didn't believe him at first. I told him to go to hell. I hung up on him. But he called back the next day, and the day after that. And finally I agreed to meet him, just once, to tell him face to face to leave us alone. I felt something crack inside me. But you didn't tell him to leave us alone, did you? No, Mark's voice broke. Because when I saw him, Sarah, God, when I saw him, I saw you. I saw the man you would have known if he hadn't left. And he was dying. Not in some distant, abstract way. He was actively dying. He could barely walk from his car to the coffee shop without stopping to catch his breath. And when he sat down across from me, the first thing he said was, I know I don't deserve 5 minutes of your time, but I'm begging you. Please help me make this right before I die. So you did. I walked to the window, looked out at the backyard where my father still stood alone, watching the house. You helped him. You met with him secretly. You lied to me every single time you said you were working late, or meeting clients, or running errands. I never lied, Mark said quickly. I didn't tell you. And I know that's the same thing, I know it is, but Sarah, I was trying to protect you. I was trying to arrange the perfect moment. I wanted to talk to Jake first, to get his blessing. I wanted to make sure your father was serious about making amends, that he wasn't going to hurt you again. I wanted to control every single variable so that when you finally saw him, it would be on your terms, in a safe space, with people who love you around. I turned to face him. This BBQ was supposed to be that safe space? Ambushing me in front of all our friends and neighbors? No. Mark stood up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. No, Sarah, that's not what I planned at all. The text, I swear to you, the text was supposed to say, don't come to the BBQ yet. Surprise at 6 p.m. I was going to call you at 5:30. I was going to explain everything over the phone first, give you time to process, give you the choice of whether to come or not. Everyone else was supposed to leave by 6. It was just going to be you, me, and your father. Private, controlled, safe. I stared at him. You really expect me to believe that your phone just randomly cut off the most important part of the most important text you've ever sent me? Mark pulled his phone out of his pocket with shaking hands, pulled up our conversation, and showed me his sent messages. There it was. Don't come to the BBQ yet. Surprise at 6 p.m. But when I looked at what I'd received, it only showed, don't come to the BBQ. I don't understand, I whispered. How did... I don't know. Signal issue? Some glitch? But Sarah, I swear on everything I love, I never meant for you to feel shut out. I never meant for you to find out this way. He took a step toward me. I was trying to give you a gift, a chance to heal something that's been broken inside you for 20 years. You had no right. The words came out quiet but firm. You had no right to make that decision for me, Mark. That's my father, my pain, my choice whether to forgive him or not. You're right, Mark said immediately. You're absolutely right, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told you the first time he called. I should have let you decide. But Sarah... He paused, and something shifted in his expression. There's something else. Something I haven't told you yet. Something your father asked me to help him with. My stomach dropped. What else could there possibly be? Mark reached into his back pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. It was thick, cream-colored, expensive-looking. He held it out to me with trembling hands. He's been in treatment for 6 months, Mark said. Chemo, radiation, everything. It's bankrupted him, completely wiped him out. He sold his house, his car, everything he owned to pay for treatments that aren't even working. He's going to die, Sarah. Soon. And when he does, he'll have nothing to leave behind except debt and regret. I took the envelope but didn't open it. What is this? 3 weeks ago, he asked me to help him set something up. A trust. He wanted to make sure that when he dies, his life insurance, it's not much, but it's something, goes to the people he hurt most. You, Jake, and your mother's estate. He wanted me to be the executor because he didn't trust himself not to mess it up, and he knew you'd never accept it if it came directly from him. I opened the envelope. Inside were legal documents, insurance papers, and a handwritten letter. The handwriting was shaky, but I recognized it immediately. It was the same handwriting that used to sign my report cards, write notes in my lunchbox, leave "I love you" messages on the bathroom mirror when I was little. My hands started shaking. I couldn't read the letter. Not yet. It felt too big, too heavy. He's been working with hospice, Mark continued, his voice gentle now, getting his affairs in order, writing letters to everyone he hurt, trying to find some kind of peace before the end. And Sarah, I've watched him do it. I've sat with him through appointments where the doctors told him there's nothing more they can do. I've listened to him cry about all the moments he missed, your college graduation, your wedding, the life you built without him. I've seen a broken man trying desperately to glue himself back together before he runs out of time. I looked up from the letter. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was afraid, Mark said simply. Afraid you'd say no before you even met him. Afraid you'd shut down the possibility of healing because the wound was too deep. Afraid I'd cause you more pain instead of helping you find closure. He stepped closer, close enough that I could see the tears streaming down his face. I love you, Sarah. Everything I did because I love you. But I know now that I should have trusted you to make your own choice. And I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. I stood there holding that letter, feeling the weight of 20 years of anger and abandonment pressing down on my shoulders. Part of me wanted to tear it up, to walk away, to tell my father to die alone with his regrets. That's what the wounded part of me wanted. But there was another part, quieter, deeper, that remembered being 8 years old and falling off my bike, and my father scooping me up and carrying me inside, telling me that brave girls cry when they need to, and that was okay. The part that remembered Sunday morning pancakes and bedtime stories, and feeling absolutely certain that my daddy would always be there to catch me. That little girl inside me was crying now, grieving for all the years we'd lost, grieving for the father who'd left and the father who was dying, grieving for the simplicity of childhood love before it got complicated by adult betrayals. Friend, I want to tell you something important. In that moment, holding my father's letter in my shaking hands, I realized that forgiveness isn't about whether someone deserves it. It's not even about whether their reasons for hurting you were good enough. Forgiveness is about whether you want to carry that weight anymore, whether you want the story of your life to be defined by someone else's failure or by your own strength. I looked at Mark, my husband, who'd kept secrets, but only because he loved me, who'd made the wrong choice for the right reasons, who was standing there broken and terrified that he'd lost me forever. I need to talk to him, I said quietly, alone. Mark nodded. Of course, whatever you need. I walked back outside, past the silent guests, past Jake, who'd somehow appeared and was watching me with worried eyes, past Lisa, who reached for my hand as I passed. I walked straight to that oak tree where my father stood waiting. Up close, I could see how much the disease had taken from him. His cheeks were hollow. His skin had a grey tint. His hands trembled as he clutched them together in front of him. Sarah, he said, and his voice cracked on my name. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For leaving. For staying away. For being too much of a coward to face what I'd done until it was almost too late. I should have had a speech prepared. I should have known exactly what to say. But all that came out was, why? Why did you leave us? He looked down, and a tear slid down his weathered cheek, because I was broken, and I didn't know how to fix myself. because I thought I could outrun my own unhappiness by starting over with someone new, because I was selfish and weak, and I convinced myself that you'd all be better off without me dragging you down. He looked back up, meeting my eyes. I was wrong, about all of it, and by the time I realized how wrong I was, so many years had passed that I didn't think you'd ever want to hear from me again. So I stayed away, telling myself it was for your own good. But it wasn't. It was just more cowardice. I felt hot tears on my own cheeks now. You broke Mama's heart. You know that? She died 5 years ago and she never stopped loving you, never remarried, never even dated. She just waited. Like some part of her thought you'd come back. I know, he whispered. Mark told me. And that's something I'll have to carry into whatever comes next. I can't fix that. I can't fix any of it. But I wanted to try. Even if all I can do is say I'm sorry, and mean it with every breath I have left. We stood there under that oak tree, father and daughter, strangers and family, all at once. And I made a choice. I can't forgive you right now, I said honestly. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully forgive you, but I can. I can sit with you. I can listen. I can give you these last few months to be the father you should have been. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve not to live the rest of my life wondering what if. His whole body sagged with relief. Thank you, he breathed. Thank you, Sarah. That's more than I ever hoped for. I turned back to Mark, who was watching from the porch. Come here, I called to him. He came quickly, uncertainty written all over his face. You should have told me, I said when he reached us. You should have trusted me to handle the truth. But I understand why you didn't. And I know your heart was in the right place, even if your methods were all wrong. I'm sorry, Mark said again. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you if that's what it takes. Just don't lie to me again, I said. Not even when you think you're protecting me. We're partners, Mark. That means we face hard things together. He pulled me into his arms, and I let myself collapse against him, crying for everything that had been lost and everything that might still be saved. My father stood there watching us, and I saw something in his face I'd never expected to see again. Hope. The next 3 months weren't easy. There were hard conversations and old wounds that reopened. There were days I couldn't stand to be in the same room with him, and days when I held his hand while he slept, finally looking peaceful. There were arguments and tears, and moments of grace I never thought possible. He died on a Tuesday morning in October, with me and Jake on either side of his hospital bed. His last words were, I love you both. I always did, even when I didn't know how to show it. And you know what? I believed him. Friend, thank you for staying with me through this whole story. I know it wasn't easy to hear, but I hope it taught you what it taught me, that people are complicated, that hurt people, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone try to make amends, even when they don't deserve it. If you believe that strength isn't about how we fall, but how we rise, please subscribe, hit that like button, and tell me in the comments what part of this story touched your heart. Have you ever had to forgive someone who didn't deserve it? Have you ever kept a secret to protect someone you love? I want to hear your story too. I've picked another story for you. It should be on the screen now. A story about second chances and the things we do for family. I hope to see you there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And remember, healing is never a straight line, but it's always worth the journey.